going on over there.
Yuba-Sutter.live's local government live streams are presented by Plumas Lake Self-Storage in Plumas Lake, where lifelong local residents are helping other residents keep things safe, providing indoor storage units, outdoor RV and vehicle parking, moving supplies, and Penske truck rentals. Details at plumaslakeselfstorage.com.
And continued knowledge. Bless our first responders as they keep our city safe. In this society that seems to be divisive at times, I pray that you would bring us together in peace. Bless our community, bless our members, bless our citizens. In Jesus' name, amen. Amen. One nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
City Attorney, reports on closed session items.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. There were no reportable action taken in closed session.
Thank you for that. Modifications, approval of agenda. Item 10, Yuba City Landscape Maintenance District number 1, Stabler Lane Garden Highway Area. Resolution of intent will be continued to the next regular meeting on July 18th. Due to recusals, item 11 will be pulled from the consent calendar and voted on separately. We are going to begin this evening with a ceremonial presentation, outgoing youth commissioners recognition. I'd like to invite Youth Commissioners Sonia Jontwanda and Ashley Sharshkwan to come forward. And there's also two not in attendance, Alejandro and Greta. But can I have the two youth commissioners that are in attendance please come forward? Do we have any youth commissioners here? Okay. We're going to Plan B. We're going to go to the presentation by Ashley. Thank you for that.
All right, good evening, everyone. Good evening, Mayor and members of the council. I'm excited to be here tonight. To introduce myself, my name is Ashley Potocznik. I work in the Development Services Department as a development liaison. And tonight I'll be talking about our newest software, online software that we have for the community in order to better do business with Yuba City and develop in Yuba City. In January, as a little bit of background, in January, we launched the You Can with Yuba City initiative. And what that is a support network that businesses, developers, the community can tap into in order to facilitate success in whatever it is you want to do, whether it's start a business, build a new home, build an ADU, anything. It's a network that you can tap into in order to make doing business easier for you. And this was a big, very much supported by council and initiated by council. And as a part of that initiative, we have launched a new online software that's powered by something called Open Counter. But in Yuba City, we're calling it Permit Planner. So it's very self-explanatory, planning your permits. So a little bit of background about Permit Planner. A year ago this month, actually, is when council first heard about this Open Counter software that could facilitate this type of permit planner interface that the community can use. And for the last year, staff has been working actively in order to sync the existing design standards, municipal code requirements, and everything into the software. So it was a lot of back and forth, a lot of work, but now we are excited to announce that it is officially launching. So yay. So what is Permit Planner? Like I said, it's pretty self-explanatory, but to dig into it a little bit more, it is an online tool that you can use, community members, or you can use council when you are trying to understand, what do I need to do if I want to open a Burger King or have a ADU in my backyard? Whatever it is you want to do, it's a place you can go step by step, very user-friendly, kind of like a TurboTax of development and business. And it will walk you through the requirements. And at the end, you'll have a list of everything I need to do in step-by-step order and how much is it going to cost. So it's really exciting, makes it really easy, and it's available on your phone and on the computer. So what we're going to do right now is a little bit of a demo. So feel free, if you would like, you can scan the QR code and do it on your phone, or I have screenshots. We'll work through it together if you would prefer that way. This QR code will be on every slide for the rest of my presentation. So if you want to catch up at the end, you can definitely do that too. All right. So I didn't say, but it's at permits.yubacity.net. That's where you need to go in order to access this screen. So as you can see on this screen, there are 3 portals. There will be one for commercial business, one for residential improvements or additions or new builds. And then there's something called the zoning portal. And that's really the beginning stages where you're kind of wondering, where could I put my business? What is the zoning of this location, et cetera? That's kind of step 1 for more brainstorming. So for purposes of this demo, I'm going to zoom in pretty quick, but I want to point out that you can sign into this software and save all of your searches. So it's really makes it streamlined so you can have a search when you're, I don't know, laying in bed at 11 o'clock at night. And then tomorrow you can come into City Hall and say, hey, this is what I was going to do. And staff can pull it up on the back end. So for our demo today, we're going to imagine a brand new coffee shop with a drive-through built from the ground up on a vacant parcel. So those are important facts to know as I click through this demo. First, we'll click on Start Commercial Portal. And that will take us to an overview of everything the Permit Planner is going to do for you. So like I said, it's very user-friendly. I'm not going to read you the whole overview, but it gives everyone information about what's coming next. And as you'll see, there's also a contact city staff button that's always available on every slide. So this new tool is ideally to make it so that people don't have to call or come into City Hall as often, but we're always available still if the community needs staff's help with something or has a question. So like I said, we're demoing a coffee shop, new building. So you insert that into the use type, and it's going to generate all of the uses from our municipal code. There will be commercial uses, even residential uses, and maybe even agricultural uses that fall under coffee shop. But we're proposing a commercial, like drive-through coffee shop. So we'll click on the first one. Let's see, where are we? Restaurants and cafes. Then it will take you to this next page, which shows Yuba City in a map form. Everything in green is where you can have your coffee shop. Everything in gray, you cannot have a coffee shop there, or it's outside of the city. There's questions on the left-hand side that you can answer to kind of pinpoint what exactly it is you're trying to do. And you can enter an address if you have an example of where you're wanting to do this. So for this example, we're pretending to put a coffee shop at the old Waffle Barn. So I put in that address, and you can see as I answer the questions, the map changes. So here I selected that there will be a drive-through, and the map changed to yellow. That signifies that a use permit is required. A use permit is a planning entitlement that has to be reviewed by the Planning Commission. And there's always these helpful little links throughout the process that take you to the municipal code or take you to the city website to further explain what it is that would be required of you. All right, the next step is figuring out what permits you need. So now we know where it can go, but we want to know what permits you need in order to have your coffee shop there. So in this example, I was making it up. Of course, it's an example, but you go through, answer a bunch of different questions, new construction, and you can see on the right-hand side, it changes the requirements in real time. If I click new construction versus no structural changes, it's going to impact the requirements of the permits. And there's always a drop-down menu under the requirements. So if you want to know more about that specific requirement, it'll give you a little helpful blurb. So continue answering the questions, continue seeing the requirements fill up. And then it will take you to the next step, your final step, determining what the fees will be. This is where, honestly, it can get a little bit more detailed. So if you're in the brainstorming process, you might not know what type of encroachment you're going to do. You might not know the size of your water meter or your water pipe. You probably won't know that. But this could be useful if you do, and it can also be useful just to kind of get a ballpark estimate of what you're looking at. So as you continue to enter in valuation, what type of work you'll be doing, then the fees will generate on the right-hand side. And there's these little tool tips if you're curious, what exactly is this asking me? These are kind of frequently asked questions of what it is that we're looking for at this stage of the permit planner. So I entered in some demo valuation, I was guessing here, and some different types of work that may be required for a coffee shop. And then it comes to a fee estimate. This is an estimate, of course, and there's a area at the bottom where the community can contact staff if they have questions about this estimate, or they can use the drop-down arrows on the right-hand side to see the estimate kind of itemized. What exactly am I paying for here? And it's important to note that it's not only showing Yuba City requirements. This is also linked up with Sutter County, with alcoholic beverage control, with, you kind of can name it. We don't have necessarily, hey, it's going to be $11.15, but there will be a note here that because of what you've selected, you're going to need to contact Sutter County, or you're going to need to contact ABC to talk about beer and wine, etc. Okay, so I feel like I'm talking a lot. We're getting to the end. So once you've answered all those questions, you'll come to a summary page. This you can download as a PDF. It'll save to your user profile, and it has all of the information about your proposed project. So you can see on the screen, you have the address, the zoning details, the fee estimate, the list of permits. It's all there. And if you want, you can stop there. That can be the end. You download your PDF, you come to staff and you say, this is what I have. Or you take it to your business counselor, whoever's looking at your business model, and you give it to them there. Or you can get started, begin your application. So that we're going to demo right now as well. So when you begin your application, they'll want you to give it a name. So I made it up, Highway Coffee Roasters. If anyone wants to use that idea, call me. No, just joking. So once we've set up our project, it's going to take us to my favorite page, because this is the step-by-step, what do I need to do first? And then what do I need to do next? You can view it in submission order, or you can view it in order by department, whichever you prefer. But it has these individual boxes with every single permit or license, whatever it is you need in order to start your business. And when you click learn more, for every box, a bigger box will pop up that has even more information and contacts for that department or for that agency, etc. It's all going to be right there. So it's a bucket full of resources that hopefully will make it easier, and will, I'm certain, make it easier for people who are looking to start business or develop in Yuba City. As I mentioned, all of your projects will be saved to your user profile. So it's really easy to get started, and then you want to go back and finish it up, or you want to see, maybe you want to compare new build versus renovation versus something else. You can see how that impacts the fee, impacts the requirement, etc. So it's a really great software, and we're really excited to see it finally launching. It's been a year of hard work, I'm not going to lie, and we're excited to bring this to the community. So that's our little demo. So what's next? What does this mean? The You Can with Yuba City initiative is on the rise, which sounds really silly, but we're going places, you know? And Permit Planner is just a piece of it. You will begin to see this on social media, on print media. There's flyers outside if anyone wants one. You'll see it kind of all over. And that's because we want the community to be using this, and we'll continue to monitor the use, the effectiveness, et cetera, to see how this new tool is working for the community. And we're also working on a You Can with Yuba City landing page, a place where someone can go to find Permit Planner, but also to find a variety of other resources for how they can get done what they're hoping to get done in Yuba City. So, like I said, we have flyers. There's flyers outside. The QR code is really easy. Scan the QR code and it will take you to the Permit Planner, but you can also just go to permits.yubacity.net. It's pretty easy to remember. And we're excited to see the community use it. And I would invite everyone here to please let your friends and family know this is a great resource that council has put a lot of backing behind, and staff is really excited to see where this goes. So that is all. I would say thank you. And if anyone has any questions, I'd love to take them.
Thank you for that presentation, Ashley. And thank you for the presentation last week at the coffee shop. That was done very well. This is another example of your city being open for business and being as business friendly as we possibly can. Do we have any questions or comments from the council?
Through the mayor, Ashley and Ben and Diana, this is just another great step in continuing to prove and facilitate Yuba City being open for business. And I really appreciate the energy, enthusiasm, and effort. This was a vision that we had as a council, was to try to make it as easy as possible for new and existing businesses to do business within our city. And you guys continue to hit it out of the park, to use a baseball term. And I just really appreciate this, and I'm looking forward to even more as you move forward. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor. Ashley, one question for you. Do you need a password once you go in? Because that's the kiss of death for me. Password thing just kind of...
You don't need a password to use it, but if you want to save it to your user profile,
you do need a password.
You do need a password if you want to have a user profile, but you can just do that, like save my password on Google Chrome or whatever. That's what I use.
Well, that's easier.
You would think that'd be the way to do it.
Being in the building industry for all these years, 35 years, was always amazed going into the counters, and it was like, I've got the secret book, and if you don't ask the right question, you're not going to get the answer type attitude. And I really, really appreciate this. This is, I will tell every contractor that I ever have contact with that this is out there, that this will streamline it, because it is frustrating, especially what I do, to not know all the things that you need to know to go in. So thank you for that.
I just read the same thing, Ashley. It's very well done, all of you guys, to put the work in there. It can be so arduous and so ominous to think about. How many people, as soon as you hear you got to get a permit, they immediately throw up their arms and forget about it, and they take their chances, right? So this, when we make one click with a built-in kind of like a flow chart, if you will, and you finally get to the end, and it's easy. I'm with Mike over here. That anything to do with the password or a login, forget it. So this is pretty good, and it's right up there with YC 311 when we did that, about efficiencies and making it easy and simple for people to access resources and services of their city. So thank you very much.
And I see you're sporting a shirt today, I noticed.
Right, I am.
Thank you, Ashley. Thank you for that presentation. So at this point, I would like to ask the youth commissioners that are here to meet us up front, please.
Oh, wow.
So these are two of our youth commissioners, and I'm going to give them, as long as they're comfortable, a moment to talk about just what you liked about being on the youth commission and what your plans are moving forward.
So my favorite thing about being on the youth commission was really helping out the community that I belong to. I've always felt very involved and supported by our city growing up, and I wanted to give back to that community, the community that's always supported me and my family. And I'm going to San Marcos University by San Diego, and I want a career as a lawyer.
My name's Sonia Jawanda. I've been on the commission for 2 years now. This will be the end of my term. I am chairperson this year, and I really have loved being on the youth commission. It's like a whole different family. It's like such a good opportunity. We get to help out so much, all the different parades, and my future is kind of unclear, but we're going to college and we're going in the medical field. So so eventually I want to hopefully pursue a career in cardiology, and that's about it for me.
Just as a quick background, the Youth Commission acts as an advisory capacity to the City Council, City Manager, Parks and Recreation Department. This commission is often referred to as the City Council for youth. They also put on many events throughout the year that benefit youth in our community. And we are really happy and sad. But if any of you know of any young people who would like to participate, maybe next year, send them our way. And with that, I've got a couple of nice documents to present to. The first one is for Sonia. Sonia, this is for you. Ashley, this is for you. Can we give him a hand real quick? it's really neat to see the youth get involved in the community. It really is. As you get older, your attitudes about the youth maybe isn't always positive, but our experiences, it is very positive. So thank you, ladies, for attending. Ceremonial presentations number 3, Senate Bill 403, discrimination on the base of caste. I'd like to invite Sidnam Singh will be giving a presentation.
Good evening, everyone. We are here to bring awareness to our elected official about a perspective of foreign attack on our country internally. This attack is well planned to target the progress and prosperity of our country by destroying our unity, integrity, and solidarity. Talk about this bill. The bill was introduced by State Senator Behab in February 2023. It was passed almost unanimously in the Senate and is now at the Assembly desk. It has only 2 amendments since it was first introduced. Before I continue, I want to ask our mayor, council members, and audience if they are aware of the caste system. Background of caste, the caste system in India was a way for those of the higher caste to oppress those of the lower caste. People of the lower caste were kept on the outskirts of society and often had jobs only their caste could do. There was no room for advancement among caste, and different castes often were not allowed to interact with each other. It is a poisoning system that held society to be separated. It is one of the main reasons many of us left India to came to America. So they divide in 4 categories, those caste system. First one, Brahmin. They're supposed to be the priest and teacher only. Second one, the Kshatri. There was an army, soldier, and fight only. The third one, Vaishya, the merchandiser and do only business. The fourth category was their lowest caste they called. They all common laborer, dancer, magician, shoemaker, shoe repair, cleanup worker, etc. Again, a question to you, does this kind of evil exist in our society? No, because our constitution is great and complete in itself. If we already have our constitution protecting us for every angle possible, why do we need a bill against an evil that does not exist here? The implication of this bill are unimaginable. SB 403 is bringing a system that does not even exist in the US. It will leave us to be profiled against at work, at school. Trying to reclassify and document caste will leave problem for future generation that are trying to move away from the caste system. We need to focus on what will happen 5 to 10 years from now, not just the effect it will have today. However, some evil-minded people, backed and influenced by our enemies, are trying to introduce this evil bill, bringing the caste system to US bill divided us. So one of supporting few people, this bill is Equality Lab. I want to talk about them. Equality Lab has been supporting this bill. However, they are a number of red flag with this. One of they used Cisco case to bring this bill, SB 403, but court found this is not true of the caste-based discrimination, and court, they dismissed this case. Could be that is the reason SB 403 should not even exist. Even our children came back after completing their education. They said that they never face any kind of caste system discrimination. So this is some of the proof of we have found. Dr. Ambassador said, breaking news, this has to be fraud and illegal. So this is a show Equality Lab was able to falsely cast data in the US. They're saying we need your help reaching 10,000 signatures on our petition supported by color or change. If you are not outside the United States, you can use zip code 95134. You can see on that. Also, there's a website you can look at to detail. So Busting the Life of Equality Lab, there's a website, you can go on that to find out about it. The supporter of the bill have forged the documents of our communities, institutions, organization, and gurdwaras. There's more proof of Equality Lab lying on the website included. You can look at it, you can see that. So next one, as you can see, you gentlemen have this folder. You can see some of our letter we have received from opposing the bill. Their letter from all the temples in Yuba City, and some from Live Oak, Sacramento area, and Central Valley area. Future implication, we want to thank Senator Behab for the bill because we agree to caste system is horrible. However, the bill only works in theory, not in practice. Proving caste, if this bill is passed, caste discrimination will become more prominent. If future generations face caste discrimination, how will they prove their caste in court? Some of the lawyers read this bill, and but they said, I have a little video, less than a minute. I would like to, you guys watch this, please.
The Caste Equity Legal Task Force is a national coalition of litigators, law professors, bar associations, legal advocates. We advocate for laws and policies that address caste discrimination to protect and support its
value in explicitly identifying certain categories as protected under our discrimination laws, even if other categories already protect them. We already do this, for instance, with gender identity and sexual orientation claims. The Supreme Court has made clear in the Bostock case that sex discrimination encompasses gender identity claims and encompasses sexual orientation claims. That doesn't mean that it's not really important. terms of the standards that apply to caste discrimination. We're just making it clear in the law that there is no ambiguity at all that caste discrimination is covered. That is the benefit of clear signals in the law. That is the benefit of an explicit ban on caste discrimination.
In this country, we believe in equality. We believe people should not be subordinated.
Into present civil rights and anti-discrimination statutes. That means that all of the standards of proof that apply in other discrimination claims will port over directly into a caste discrimination claim. So, for example, if someone is claiming that they suffered caste discrimination in employment, that they suffered an adverse employment action, such as a termination, a demotion, a denial of equal pay because of their caste, and they only have circumstantial evidence to support that, they will, after discovery, have to show that they meet what's called the prima facie case of discrimination. That means that they're going to have to show that they're the member of a protected class, that they were qualified for their position, and that they suffered an adverse employment action under circumstances that suggest a discriminatory motive. Once they meet that prima facie case, the employer would have an opportunity to rebut it with evidence that the employer had some legitimate or purportedly legitimate reason for taking the adverse action that it took. At that point, the plaintiff would then have to show.
So this is a little longer video. I don't want to show everything because of your time, some more value. So our request is to your support in opposing this bill. I hope our community all we request you to pass a resolution against this bill to stop it where it is. Thank you for your time. If somebody have a question, I'll be happy to answer them.
Thank you for that presentation, Mr. Singh. Does council have any questions? Okay. So I'd like to thank Mr. Mahi and Mr. Singh for bringing this forward. This was an opportunity for me to educate myself, and I was surprised just by general discussions how many people in our community had never even heard of what caste is, and we have a very diverse community, and many of those folks come from areas of the world that suffers from caste, and so this is a very personal issue to those individuals. Based on time constraints, as far as the next council meeting is until the 18th, and the same with the legislation assembly in Sacramento, I would like to ask the city manager, is there anything that we can do tonight that represents to our assembly, which would be James Gallagher, I guess the opposition that our community has towards this bill?
Yes, if with the council's direction, I can prepare a letter to send to Gallagher and Yellow, and then also the sponsoring Senator Wahab for this to express the opposition points that were expressed here tonight, and have the mayor sign that letter, and then we can submit that this week so that we can make sure that it's submitted in a timely manner.
Not to put anybody on the spot, but how quickly would that be available for anybody else that would want to look at that?
So I do have the contact information, so I can send an email copy, so you can get a copy of the letter as well. And once I send it off to our legislators, I can copy the individuals here tonight as well.
Okay, so you're looking for nods for the council?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so we got it. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. I just one last thing to thank you, and I think this is community issue that needs to be educated. governor should not be involved in this. I think that, thank you very much. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you. And thank you for participating in our community. And obviously, we take this seriously. And I hope that that was communicated to everyone tonight. So thank you for that. Okay. Public communications. Number 4, appearance of interested citizens. You're welcome and encouraged to participate in this meeting. Public comment is taken on action items appearing on the consent calendar or business items on the agenda when they are called. Public comment on any other items within the scope of the city's jurisdiction, including items not listed on the agenda, will be considered at this time. Public comment is limited to 3 minutes per speaker. Members of the public submitting written requests at least 24 hours prior to the meeting will be allotted 5 minutes per comment per speaker. Repetitive comments may be limited, and large groups are encouraged to select representatives to express their opinions of the group. And we do have a speaker card from Mr. Hollander Mahi. Would you mind stepping over here, sir? Thank you.
Hello, good evening to everybody. Thank you very much for Mayor Wade and all the other city council members. Thank you very much to make this awareness in the community and discuss with you everything. Satnam Singh already told you everything about this. So we don't want to dirty this system in America, which is already we enjoying everything. We never have discriminated under the caste system here. So we don't want to import the bad things from other countries here. The law is already protecting us. So we never have any problem here. So we don't want to bring the caste word in the law, because the caste word is our ancestors' beer. It's pretty bad thing. It's limited your freedom to do anything. It can limited your jobs, your works, limited everything on your caste base. So today the world is only coming caste. In the future, it can be coming low caste, high caste. In India, it's happened same thing. When they started it, it was not a big deal, but it can take 100 of years to pushing the peoples under the caste system. That system is very bad. It can make the big countries, it can push to slavery system. So that's not good for any society. So we strongly oppose this bill, SB 403. We don't want to mess the American system with any other country's bad system. So thank you very much for understanding and give us time for that. Thanks a lot. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Mahi. I also have a speaker card from Ms. Heather Espin.
Thank you. Good evening, Council. So my name is Heather Espin. I live in Yuba City on the corner of Lincoln and Sanborn. First, I'd like to thank the city clerk for having the binder with the stuff in there, because sometimes, particularly the maps, I can't see that on my phone. So I appreciate that. I saw that the last time too, and I forgot to mention it. So sorry about that. So at the meeting, I can't remember when it was, I think it was in February, where you had sort of a group meeting at the Harvest Room. And the mayor decided to put, once again, the public comment at the beginning before anything was said or done. Had he put it at the end, I would have mentioned that there's one word that seems to be missing in your goals, and that is the word develop or encourage. When it says enhance and maintain a business-friendly environment for our city, the word develop or encourage is missing. So case in point, you mentioned at the last meeting that, and even passed something that said that even though we're in a district, we're representing the city. Well, that's easy for you to say when you live up where you live. We only have one person on this council that lives down where I live. We have to drive everywhere. We have nothing down there. I have a Walgreens. I use that regularly. It's always full. There's always a line there because we don't have enough down in our area. And you should know that, Mayor. I'm sure you visit the Walgreens as well, although I don't think I've ever seen you there. But across from Walgreens, there on Sessler Road, there is this horribly empty, blighted lot. It is not just a problem because it's just empty. The weeds are growing crazy. They went over the sidewalk. Strangely enough, they disappeared after I did YC 311 a week later. Thank you for having YC 311. If you don't know what it is, everybody should use it. And that either last year or the year before, they actually had a fire right next to the houses. This empty lot needs to be developed or it needs to be sold. Ben Moody knows who owns it. And I know that you don't have control over those types of things, but that's why I was saying if you have the word encourage or develop in there, that you're trying to encourage people to develop something. We need some food down there. We need a coffee shop. I'll be happy to take the coffee shop down there. A pizza place, anything. Whenever I try to meet with somebody, when I was trying to meet with people in the city, we have to go somewhere else. We can't, there's nothing down there. So it's nice to say that you're thinking about the entire city when you're in District 1, 2, et cetera, but you don't go down there. You don't see how difficult it is for us. So if you could try to encourage something with that property, the street in front of it's really bad too. Somebody's going to have an accident because it's just not wide enough until they develop it. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any other comments from the public? Any comments? Okay, seeing none. Consent calendar. All matters listed under consent calendar are considered to be routine and can be enacted in one motion. There will be no separate discussion on these items prior to the time that council votes on the motion unless members of the city council request specific items to be discussed or removed from the consent calendar for individual action. Item 10 will be continued to the next regular meeting on July 18th. Item 11 will be pulled from the consent calendar and voted on separately. Do we have any comments from the public on consent calendar items 5 through 9? 5 through 9. Okay, seeing none, I'll bring it back to council for comments or action.
Motion to accept the consent calendar 5 through 9.
I've got a motion from Councilmember Pasquale.
Second.
And a second from Councilmember Baumgarten. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Ayes have it. Motion carries. Okay. Consent calendar item number 11.
Mayor, I've recused myself because I lost the flip, correct?
Okay.
And for the benefit of the community, if I could explain just a bit, we have so many council members that lived within the district that we would not have a quorum to conduct business. And so there's a process under the law where you can randomly select a council member to participate even though they have a conflict. And so at the last meeting, we basically flipped a coin, determined who that council member was. And that's the reason why, even though there's a conflict with one of the council members, they can still participate in the process this evening. So that's why we only have 3 people sitting up there, because that is the minimum for a quorum. Thank you.
Thank you, City Attorney. Do we have any comments from the public on consent calendar item number 11? Okay, and then we have a presentation. No presentation. Okay, so I'll bring it back to council for action.
Through the mayor.
Yes.
I'd like to move that we adopt the following resolutions to continue the maintenance districts pursuant to the Landscaping and Lighting Act of 1972. Resolution approving engineers reports, Yuba City Lighting and Landscape Maintenance Districts numbers 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Resolution of intention to order improvements, Yuba City Lighting and Landscape Maintenance Districts numbers 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And B, set a public hearing for July 18th, 2023 at 6 p.m. to establish the assessments for the fiscal year of 2023-24.
I've got a motion by Councilmember Baumgarten.
Second.
And a second from the Vice Mayor. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed say nay. Ayes have it. Motion carries.
And if someone could get Councilmember Pasquale so he can participate in the next items. Thank you.
It's a fun audience tonight.
Try out some of your material.
Yeah, probably should, huh? Welcome back, sir. All right. Okay, business items. Number 12, fiscal year 2023-24, citywide sole source and professional services presented by Spencer Morrison, Finance Director.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. I am bringing you the citywide sole source and professional services purchases for fiscal year 23-24. So this is not a single purchase by any means, but rather a collection of many purchases staff is anticipating in 23-24. This item is intended to streamline. Each item is on the staff report would have to come to council separately otherwise. This will bring further awareness to the types of large purchases the city departments make. And these are not appropriations, but the council is giving authority to spend the funds in the funds that are in the budget already, or will be brought before council for approval. The items on this report have these things in common. There are all future purchases. They have a high likelihood that the invoices with a vendor will total more than $100,000 a year. That would be the city manager's purchasing threshold. And all vendors requiring a formal bid this year will be brought before council. So how do they get on the list? Well, the sole source of professional services items are the only known provider or the only responsive vendor, or they have specialized knowledge or expertise. So there are several that fit this category. In our region, we aren't always able to have a big variety for maybe because of delivery, for instance. We saw that with my last time I was up here, we were talking about chemicals. Well, we can't shop chemicals on the East Coast because of the delivery challenges. And so many vendors meet that threshold in different ways. And there are items on this list that have multi-year agreements. And so even though we bring them to you each year, just for transparency purposes, we may have a 5-year agreement with a certain vendor. Landscapes by Stencil is a good example of that. Other items are on this list, but they're existing systems. So we have software like Central Square, which is our enterprise reporting tool. It's our financial software. We can't just change that every other year. We have to, once we choose a software, we have to stay with it because of the intensity of installing the software and such. So with that, I'm ready to answer any questions.
Thank you, sir. Do we have any comments from the public on this item?
Sorry, I didn't realize that you had the question or the contract with Stencil on there. So I think Stencil, well, it's not, yeah. Rob, who works with that. So the landscape district that does our landscape work, let's say if I call, they do it. If I don't call, they don't do it. I don't think that's the way we should be doing the contract. So I'm not sure when that's popped up, because I've been waiting for that to pop up at some point so that I could come in and say something about the work that they do, but I haven't seen it yet. So I don't know if that's part of what this is. I just thought I'd let you know that, and Diana Langley knows what I'm talking, unfortunately, that we need to have a better way of checking if they're actually going out there and doing what they say they are, because it's on Lincoln Road. The mayor's looking at me funny. So on Lincoln Road, you know where the trees are on the north side of Lincoln Road between Walgreens and Sanborn. There's all those trees in there. So when the leaves fall down, the whole road there gets blocked. There's a whole bunch of leaves that just go all over the place. And they're supposed to come over and clean that up every year. And they tend to not do that. And I don't know when they're scheduled to do it or whatever, but it just tends to kind of get into this big mess. And I don't know when that's coming up to make those comments. I didn't know if this was the appropriate time or not. That's why I thought I would just mention it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further comments from the public on this item? Okay, I'll bring it back to council. Questions or action?
I move to recommend adopting a resolution pre-authorizing the city manager or designee to enter into county citywide sole source and professional service purchases from July 1, 2023 through June 30th, 2024 for specified items based on each purchase recommendation being in the best interest of the city.
I've got a motion from Councilmember Pasquale and a second from the Vice Mayor. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Ayes have it. Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Morrison. Number 13, Plan Development 18, PD 18, Zoning District associated with Tentative Subdivision Map TSM 23-01, West Walton Village, presented by Mr. Libby.
Good evening, council members, mayor. Happy to be here tonight for this next agenda item for the West Walton Village for Plan Development number 18 and Environmental Assessment 2302. So this is for a project site located on the west side of Walton Avenue, approximately 670 feet north of Franklin Road. The project site comprises about 9.5 acres. It has a general plan designation of medium-low residential, which means it has a density range between 6 and 14 dwelling units per acre. The property is zoned two-family residence district. That's our R2 zone. Here's a copy of the map. That went before the Planning Commission at a special meeting on May 31st. There was no opposition expressed at the Planning Commission meeting. So the Planning Commission unanimously recommended approval of PD 18 to your council and contingently approved the subdivision map 2301 for 66 half-plex units and 6 single-family units for a density of 8.65 dwelling units per acre. So from the previous slide, you know the density range is from 6 to 14. So this is it's within that density range, it's on the lower side. I would add that for those who don't know, a half-plex unit is basically a duplex, but instead of renting out, people could own each half of the unit itself. So this project is a great opportunity for starter homes for our community. So 72 units overall. And I would also draw your attention to on the map, there's 4 lots identified that have been sized large enough to be able to accommodate accessory dwelling units also. So that's also a good opportunity for multi-generational housing. So the plan development, what will it accomplish? Well, it does specify that half-plexes require a recorded covenant addressing common wall and maintenance issues. It allows for reduced lot sizes, setbacks, and increased lot coverages, and it does modify the depth to width standard. Now, on this point, it's important to recognize that when the PD was proposed, the first thing we did was look at the existing city standards. And some of those standards were pulled from our approved Bogue Stewart master plan that have more flexible setbacks and design standards. So those were incorporated into this PD. I would also mention that the staff has been working on using state housing grant money to have an outside consultant do a review of our zoning code and to look for barriers to housing. So we're going to be looking to bring forward to the council a presentation probably in August. And a lot of the things that this project does are going to be things that you'll hear in August about allowing for reduced setbacks, increased lot coverages, things that can be barriers to the development of housing. So for this project, zoned R2 today, and the proposed zoning would be PD 18. And the copy of the full development standards is included in your staff report is attachment 1, exhibit A. Now, with regard to compatibility, this site is surrounded by a mix of residential, full range of single family, 2-family, multifamily, as well as commercial zones on the south side. Staff does not believe there is incompatibilities of use, and all city services are available to the property. Now, this site was previously developed as a mobile home park when the area was unincorporated and in the county. There was approximately 50 units that were allowed to be established there that have dwindled over time. And that mobile home park resulted in increased amounts of traffic. Walton Avenue, Franklin Bridge are existing 4-lane city arterials designed to accommodate high traffic volumes. Surrounding intersections, Walton and Bridge and Walton and Franklin operate within acceptable city levels of service standards and will continue to do so, as well as pedestrian and bicycle improvements onto Walton will be developed. Now, with regard to environmental review, an environmental assessment was prepared for the project consistent with the Environmental Quality Act. Based upon the included environmental assessment, there were certain mitigation measures identified dealing with cultural resources, paleontological resources, as well as greenhouse gases. So staff imposed the standard mitigation measures that we typically implement. And with regard to the greenhouse gases, that includes implementing consistency or compliance with the city's adopted resource efficiency plan. So with that, staff determined there is no evidence in the record the proposed project would have a significant impact on the environment, and the Planning Commission has recommended adoption of a mitigated negative declaration. Now, like all projects that we bring forward to you, under the municipal code and state law, we must make findings justifying our decision. And so these are the findings laid out in the municipal code, and in the draft ordinance before you, it includes responses to each to recommend approval of the project as the Planning Commission did. So the recommendation tonight is to conduct a public hearing and then introduce an ordinance of the City Council approving the environmental assessment 2302, adopting a mitigated negative declaration or PD 18 and subdivision map 2301, rezoning assessors parcel 58020-001 to PD 18 located on the west side of Walton Avenue, and waive the first reading of the ordinance. Now that would conclude my comments, but Ben and I are both here to answer questions, and the project engineer Sean Menard, which MHM Engineering is here to answer questions you may have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Libby. The public hearing for Plan Development 18 PD 18 zoning district associated with tentative subdivision map TSM 23-01 West Walton Village is now open. If there are any members of the public who would like to to address the council on this issue, please provide your statement via public comment and state your name and address for the record. Do we have any comments from the public on this item?
Through the mayor, I'm so sorry to interrupt. Before we go to public comment, I was looking for some particular language for the PD 18 zone. And I just want to let you know, Doug, I didn't see that. I think we need to read it into the record so it's clear before public comment that happens. I don't know whether you or Sean have that language available for PD 18 on the condition. If not, hoping somebody has it and maybe we can just read it in, just so it's clear that we don't have to come back again and we can close the loop before people do public comment.
So just to clarify, are we looking for the language for the development and design standards that we were plugging into PD 18?
Yes, this would be with the half plexes.
I can read it into the record if you'd like.
Perfect. That would be great. Thank you.
Prior to the sale or occupancy of half-plex units, the property owner developer shall record a master covenant running with the land regarding the adjoining half-plexes that provide for use of common walls and maintenance, including provisions to allow for reasonable access to the adjoining half-plex for repairs or for termite, structure, and other inspections required for transfer or refinancing of property. Additionally, the covenant shall specify the requirement that any exterior repairs or exterior maintenance of a halfplex shall be visually consistent and match with the adjoining halfplex. Inconsistent or different material styles or colors for exterior siding, materials, paints, treatments, or roofing types are prohibited. Any modifications to the covenant shall first be approved by the city.
Thank you, Mr. Libby. I appreciate that.
Do we have any comments from the public on this item?
Well, my name is Sean Menard. I'm with MHM Engineering. I represent the client, owner of the property. We've been working with the city staff and made it through the planning commission. Originally, when we submitted this, we submitted it as duplexes, taking comments from the city staff. Their desire was to have halfplexes, so we made that work. It ended up being this additional condition. We were going to do that. It's good practice. The city attorney wanted that as a condition or PD requirement, so we worked through that language and we're okay with that additional PD requirement. So if you have any questions on anything else on the project, I can try to answer them. Otherwise, we're okay with all the conditions and the PD requirements.
Through the mayor. Mr. Menard, I do have a quick question. But first, if you could relay to the client, I really do appreciate how quickly the property was cleaned from the previous existence. But I guess what I'm looking at, we've got somewhere in the neighborhood of 4,000 subdivisions in various forms or phases coming into the city. Do we have any idea when this might actually start construction? I'm not trying to put you on the spot. I'm just interested because we have a lot of this going on. I'm just looking to hear.
At least the indication I had, it's all market driven, of course, but once we're successful with the city council, and then I guess we have that second reading. But once that occurs, he's indicated he wants to start with the design, and he's already started, reached out to me today, actually, or a realtor to start marketing it. But he wants to go to the design right away. What does that mean? The earliest they could start is next year, just to go through the process of approval and final map and all that. So the earliest would probably be April of next year, but it's, again, heavily dependent on the market.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Menard. I do have a couple of quick questions. First of all, just an observation. I never realized how big that parcel was until it was gone one day. But there isn't any existing septic out there, is there?
There would be for the original. That'll be abandoned in accordance with Sutter County environmental health standards, and I think there's a well. But all those will be abandoned in accordance with the Sutter County environmental health standards before we. And there's also, if you notice, if you drove by there, there's a PG&E overhead crossing that will be removed because it's no longer needed either. So that all those facilities it'll be cleaned up even more before we start.
Okay, and the next question I got to ask, because I got to my constituents will ask me this question. Is the neighborhood school going to be impacted by this, and by how much?
I believe this. I'll let the city staff do that, but they circulate it to the schools, so we didn't hear any impact.
So, Mayor, we circulate all of our applications to the school district. And so we did not receive any comments, but I would note that each one of these units would be required to pay the current school development impact fee, which is designed to offset impacts to the school district.
Okay. Do we have any further public comment on this item? Seeing none. I'm going to go ahead and close this public hearing and bring the matter back to council.
So, Mr. Mayor, before you consider the matter further, I just wanted to make note that I think I may have misspoke on the parcel number. So I want to make sure I made that correction. 58-020-001. The clerk administrator indicated I may have said 002.
Thank you for that. Bringing the matter back to council.
Through the mayor.
Yes.
I'd like to move to introduce an ordinance to the city council of the city of Yuba City, introduce an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Yuba City approving environmental assessment 23-02 by adopting a mitigated negative declaration prepared for plan development 18 and SM 23-01 and rezoning assessors parcel 58-020-001 to add plan development 18 located on the west side of Walton Avenue, approximately 670 feet north of Franklin Road, assessors parcel number APN 58-020-001, and waive the first reading.
I have a motion from Councilmember Baumgarten.
Through the chair.
Yes.
Does that motion also include the language as read into the record by Mr. Libby?
It does.
Thank you so much.
Second. I've got a motion by Councilmember Baumgarten, a second by Councilmember Pasquale. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Ayes have it. Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Libby. Business item 14, 2023 Community Development Block Grant Annual Action Plan, presented by Mr. Ben Moody.
All right, good evening, Mayor, members of the City Council. So the item I have before you tonight is in regard to the Community Development Block Grant Funds for 2023. And so I'll walk through. Many of you are familiar with this, with it being an annual recurrence. And so a little background. The city is an entitlement jurisdiction with the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, HUD. And with this, we receive CDBG funds, this Community Development Block Grant Funds. And the purpose of the funding is to provide decent housing, suitable living environments, expand economic opportunities, primarily for low and moderate income persons. So those are the key words with this funding source, particularly are the low and moderate income persons that I'll dive into. And so CDBG objectives benefit low and moderate income persons, aid in the prevention or elimination of slums or blight, and meet a need having particular urgency to alleviate emergency conditions. So low income is defined with HUD for the CDBG program as a person less than or equal to 50% of the area median income, which for a family of four right now is approximately $39,000 in 2022 numbers. Moderate income is defined as somebody with less than or equal to 80% of that at $62,300 for a household of four. So those are the screening criteria when we're looking for how to program the funds that it's going to people servicing that need with those income levels. And so the city, so being an entitlement agency, annually HUD programs funding to us, and it fluctuates each year a little bit. This year it seems to be down a little bit. Historically, we've been in the mid 600 level, and for this year it comes through a formula, not much background as to why it changes, but it's at $567,759 for the 23-24 program year. And so with that, there's some stipulations on the funding regarding the maximum amount for type. And so 20% can be used, up to 20% can be used for project for program administration, 15% for public services. And so this is a key discussion point, with public services always being highly sought after. There's a need for various nonprofits, and a lot of funding requests fall into this, and there's a restriction on it at this 15% level, approximately $85,000 for this year. And then of those funds are required to direct a minimum of 70% of the funding to low, moderate income persons' households. So there's a little bit of flexibility where some of the money could be serving different levels of income, but 70% needs to hit that threshold with these other criteria. And the funding, it's really time driven. They want to spend it that year. They don't want to sit it into the bank. It wants to be put out into the community. And then there's quarterly reports and accounting that needs to happen. And HUD's constantly calling us staff and trying to figure out where we're at. Have we got it spent? And if you don't have it spent, why not? And so there is pressure to get it off the books. So for this year, what we do is we do a notice of funding available, or we do a public workshop. In March, the public workshop was held. In 2023 applications in March and April, they advertised on city social media. March 30th, we started a 30-day public notice for comment with an annual action plan adjustments with recommendations to publish in the Bill Democrat and the city website. In June, so right now where we're at, so this is our timeline. We're on my June 20th here, the second bullet to the end of the process is to have a public hearing. So there's been an opportunity now for 30 days. We published in the newspaper and provide comments if anybody has comments on how we're proposing to use the funding. And so at this point in time, we have not received any public comments regarding how we're proposing to fund it, but it comes to tonight for a public hearing and to finalize that and then to move it forward with HUD. So here's a little flow chart of what I was explaining. We're on our timeline, notice to funding, public workshop, request for funding, our 30-day notice, our staff committee. And so that was a big part in the process is that when these applications come back in, the staff reviews them for qualifying, do they qualify? What's the funding request and how do they meet the needs of the program? And then we also meet with the mayor and the vice mayor for input prior to bringing this forward to the council as a whole to make a decision. And so with that, we published a draft annual action plan, put the 30-day notice in, and here we're at here with this public hearing. And then so next steps would be to submit the annual action plan and administer the program for this year with those sub entities that will be funded. So high level, $567,000 available, $1 million in requests. Of that public service money, $85,000 and $163 was available, $227,000 in requests. So through those applications, again, we really looked at what qualified. Sometimes we get applications that just don't meet the program goals or don't qualify. And then also the intent is to fund, really the intent is to fund as much as we can. And then to look at, and then based on some of the priorities of the city, where can we specify that? And so where can we align those goals to also try to accomplish as much as we can with the limited funding we have. And so you see, so our recommended funding has turned out is with the Sutter Yuba Homeless Consortium at $45,000, Yuba-Sutter Gleaners at $14,163, Sutter County Pathways to Work Program, $26,000, Habitat for Humanity Housing Preservation Program, $60,000, Freed Center for Independent Living, $25,000, Camp Rockin' Youth Foster Youth Camp, Septic Replacement, $41,000, City of Yuba City Senior Center Kitchen Update, $150,000, and City of Yuba City ADA Sidewalk and Public Facility Improvements, $162,000 or $31,000, with program administration set at 15%. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions about the project specifics or some of the funding that wasn't funded to the full amount. And with that, our recommendation tonight is to conduct a public hearing and then adopt a resolution approving the proposed 2023 annual action plan and authorize staff to submit the required documents to HUD.
Thank you, Mr. Moody, for that presentation. The public hearing for the 2023 Community Development Block Grant Annual Action Plan is now open. If there are any members of the public who would like to address the council on this issue, please provide your statement via public comment and state your name and address for the record. Do we have any comments from the public on this item? Any comments from the public?
Good evening, Mayor and council member. Oh, hello, I have to turn that on. Good evening, Mayor and council members. My name is Maria Ball, and I think I've met most of you, but I wanted to introduce myself officially as the director of the Yuba-Sutter Food Bank. And myself and Jackie Silman, our board chair, we are here tonight to say thank you very much that the food bank was included in the recommended funding. We are currently serving 102 of your low-income senior constituents, and they are very blessed by the program, as are we. So thank you very much.
Thank you, and thank you for all the work that you do. Thank you. Any further comments on the public on this item? Seeing none, I am closing the public hearing and bringing the matter back to council.
The mayor.
Yes.
Move to approve staff's recommendation. A, B, and C, if that's what you're on. Right?
Yes. I've got a motion from the vice mayor. Second. And a second from Councilmember Pasquale. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed say nay. Ayes have it. Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Moody.
Thank you.
Future agenda items. This is the opportunity to discuss with the city manager about items that came up in the meeting this evening that you would like to have brought back to council at a later date. Do we have any comments from the public? Yes.
Thank you. I just want to go back to SB 403. Maybe I missed that. Like city manager, she said she's gonna send a letter to Senator Bahab. I think it is not gonna be helped much because she's in the Senate. The Senate already passed the bill. Right now, it's the Assembly Judiciary Committee. So it'd be better if we send to them or Assembly members, and that will help if we can get the regulation as soon as possible. They're opposing this bill, so we can get a median, so we can get a voice heard with the public, what's going on, the concerns are. That we would appreciate it.
Right. So you're just a clarification. You're asking for a letter to go to the Assembly, to our representatives. Yes.
Yes. House, if you can pass, the city can pass opposing this bill. Passing regulations.
Yes, and what was agreed upon earlier is that's exactly what city staff's going to do. It's going to take a couple days, I believe, for this, and then at that point, the document will be available for your viewing if you'd like.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah, the reason because Senator Bahab, she not listening to at all. You know, we have called with, she don't even give us time to talk to her. You know.
Okay.
So it's already done with hers. So our chances are if you can get committee and assembly members.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Any further comments from the public on future agenda items? Okay, seeing none. Reports and communications. The following reports and communication items are provided for this council's information. No action can be taken on the items under this section unless the council agrees to it on a subsequent agenda. Number 16, city manager's report.
Thank you. So Race Communications, which is the company that's installing underground fiber optic infrastructure, currently in the Tierra Buena portion of town. They're going to be moving into the North Stable Lane portion of town. They have a community workshop this Thursday night at 6:30. It will be located here at the council chambers. We're just the site for them to host the workshop, but they'll have information for the public. I know that construction has not been smooth within the Tierra Buena area, and there have been a significant amount of complaints. And so engineering staff has been working with them to address the issues with some of their subcontractors. So we hear people in terms of the issues there. The Plumas Street Water Tower remediation work is scheduled to begin this week to abate the lead paint. And so there'll be a lot of activity around there. Habitat for Humanity closed on the Merriman Village property located on the east side of Walton Avenue. So that puts us one step closer on that project. And then I'll let the mayor discuss the mayor's bus tour, but it was exciting that the Holiday Inn Express is the first 2 floors are now open. Also, Recology has done their calculations and are expecting a 3% rate increase to go into effect in October. They'll be placing that on customer bills. And then finally, I just want to congratulate Ashley. She did a fantastic job tonight, and the whole department. This has been a heavy lift for the entire department, but Ashley has been the face of as she's gone around and done the You Can with Yuba City. She had a shop talk last week, and Ashley's getting out there. And it's also really great as people inquire about wanting to do projects in Yuba City to have a single point of contact that we can direct them to, and she helps them through the process. So thank you.
Thank you. 17, City Council reports. We're going to begin this evening with Councilmember Boomgarden.
What's going on for something? Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Attended a Regional Housing Authority meeting. The big takeaway from there was that Regional Housing received designation as a high performer by HUD, which was a nice designation for them to get. Attended SACOG for the Vice Mayor. A couple takeaways there. They were recently recertified as the Metropolitan Planning Organization, which was a big deal. The findings for them were very minimal, if any. And so this keeps them in position through 2027. We also received a presentation about how they're going to do funding in the future. There are now 6 counties instead of 4 that are in the mix, but there is more money as well. So it will be interesting to see how they work through that. We did receive as Yuba City a grant for $3.4 million, and most of that has to do with transit from SACOG for the Transit Authority. Attended Sutter Butte's Flood Control Agency, where we took care of the executive director, Mr. Michael Bassett, who's doing a fine job with that organization. We also agreed as a board to help the city of Oroville. They have a substandard levy that runs through their town. They aren't necessarily a part of Sabufka, but they have asked for help and they are paying for it. We're just providing, as Sabufka, we're providing the expertise. The agency that Sabufka was working with as far as selling credits, which I mentioned a few meetings ago, has that agency that we were going to sell to has begun at least the process of now renegotiating, since they had a 218 vote and got an assessment. So that looks very positive as well. There was a lot of discussion, and I noticed that the city manager sent us an email today about the situation inside levy districts 1 and levy districts 9 in regards to the transient population and our role in helping to keep that clean. There was plenty of examples given. Fortunately, I'd say most of that had to do with areas outside of the city of Yuba City. However, it is our community, and I know that we're providing all the help that we can in trying to keep the inside of the levees clean and not damaged from those who have decided to set up home there. Attended the summer stroll. It looked like there was plenty of folks down there. The weather was terrific. I haven't heard a final count or anything like that, but it was a very nice event. Also attended the torch run that our local law enforcement provided, and also to a fundraising tournament started by Yuba County Supervisor Gary Bradford for the United Way, where the proceeds and the winning teams donate back to charity. It's a great event. I also want to acknowledge, because I failed to do so earlier, Mr. Libby. I know that he's also involved with the efforts put forth into making Yuba City a place to come and do business. So, Mr. Libby, I apologize for leaving you out earlier. I do know that you're doing all you can as well. So I appreciate that.
Thank you, sir. Councilmember Pasquale.
Thank you, Mayor. Attended my Gil Sizer district, and we elected a new chair, and that was Mr. Wade Kirchner. We also ratified our budget as well, which I made a comment that they're doing something right because all the costs that we're seeing everywhere else going up there stay pretty flat as far as utilities and insurances and such. Also attended the summer stroll. To my amaze, I decided to take an e-bike out and flip it. And I'm kind of in bad shape right at the moment. Doing 16-year-old things when you're 66 doesn't work. Bus tour. I was at the Holiday Inn Express, nice facility. Got to speak the night before with one of the principals that developed that. He was a neighborhood teenager when I was a kid, Mr. Noyan. And it was so funny because I was talking to the general manager while I was there, and I said, did you have anybody come in and stay in the hotel last night, being it was your first night? She goes, oh, yeah, there's our first customer sitting over having breakfast. And I said, oh, great, I need to go talk to that gentleman. So I went over and I got about within 10 feet. I even realized that it was a childhood friend that was in town for his father's funeral, that his father and my father started at Sears probably 63 years ago together, and his father stuck with it. Of course, mine was gone, but it's just a small world that you never know when you, but I think the Holiday Inn Express is a great thing for the community. Fair Thursday, don't miss it. They're expecting 30,000. Let's put 60 in there. So with that, that's all I have, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. Vice Mayor Harris.
Yeah, real quick for me this time. I did make it out to the summertime powwow for a local Native American community out at Yuba College, which is always very impressive. I recommend folks driving out there if you ever get a chance. I was corrected. I called them costumes, and my ex-wife, who's Native American, says it's called regalia. So the regalia and the craft and the time and the craftsmanship they put into their things that they have. I don't want to call them props. I don't know what the culturally appropriate, the drums and the decorations on the regalia is quite impressive, all the way down from like little kids all the way up to the elderly folks. So it's quite interesting. And then the booths and whatnot, it's very impressive, the work that they put into. So that's nice. That is twice a year. That's at Yuba College, and the other one is up at the old, to me, it's an old skating rink across the street from Marysville High School. It has a name to it now. Youth Center up there. That's the other one that they have. So that's good stuff. Attended Sopatai along with the mayor, Sopatai's 20th anniversary. We got to be a part of that celebration for her and her whole family and employees. And the restaurant business is cutthroat, and if you make it a year, it's a big deal. 5 is apparently what they say is a hump, but to her to continue to 20 is very impressive. So congratulations to them. Once again, thank you to Councilmember Boomgarden for filling in for me on the SACOG meetings on the one day. And then, of course, another day, SACOG had another event for the community at Folsom Community Center discussing the future blueprint of what's going to focus some of the projects and the areas where SACOG will focus in the future. That's where they're going to put the money. And then, of course, agencies such as ours will come through and pick and choose what projects fall under that umbrella, put in for the money, and then we have other meetings to discuss how the formula is worked out. So it's kind of a complicated process. It's necessary, especially when you're dealing with tax dollars, that you account for everything you do and how you do it. And so that is part of what we are doing on our end on that. So more to follow, of course. It's always exciting to be able to figure out how we're going to try to get some money to make things better. But other than that, we're good. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Boy, it got cold in here, didn't it? I think that the AC works definitely. So I attended the Chamber of Commerce government meeting, and it was the speaker was a representative from Beale Air Force Base, and the takeaway for me on that event was I know our elected officials on the other side of the river have been really tentative ever since the closure of the main gate out there, because how it impacted businesses, especially along the corridor of Northville Road. And I wasn't aware until recently that it's also impacted businesses in Yuba City. And so that was the first question on my list. And they've actually taken a look at that, and based on where that flight line is, it makes more sense financially and strategically to have the two other the Wheatland Gate and the Doolittle Gate open rather than the main gate. So, and what I've also heard from our folks on the other side of the river was, as soon as the Costco opens up, that's going to change. Well, it doesn't look like that's going to happen. For the time being, that main gate's going to be closed. Attended mosquito. Looks like this season's not quite as bad as thought. SOPA's 20th anniversary was really exciting. She did it big like she always does. It was nice to see a representative from Congressman Lamoffa's office there, David Morgan. In addition to Assemblyman Gallagher showed up, and it really meant the world to an individual who's done so much for our community as well as our downtown district. So that was nice to see. I attended the open counter presentation last week that Ashley put on. Well done. And it went straight to the Brick over in Marysville for a chamber event on the other side of the river. Sabufka, attended Sabufka with the vice mayor. He mentioned that. Gil Sizer has already been mentioned. The mayor's bus tour went off very well. It was very informative to me, as well as hopefully the people that attended it. As was mentioned before, it looks like the first two floors on at the new hotel over on what street is that? Bridge B is first two floors are open with a grand opening scheduled for August, I believe that they said, and these are going to be desperately needed rooms for this area. I think they said that they're going for between 169 and 170 per room, 169, 179 per room. So the mayor's bus tour went well. So thank you for all those who participated in that and put that together, by the way. Transit was kind of a farewell to amazing individual, Keith Martin, who spent 44 years in a career and 36 years with transit. And Sabufka was mentioned by Councilmember Boongarden. There's some additional projects that are going on. Hopefully we're getting funding for additional sediment removal in the river, as well as added protection out in the bypass. The stroll was out of sight this year. A lot of that had to do with the weather, so it was really nice to attend. And lastly, I would like to remind everybody to stay safe. 4th of July is coming up. Just to remind folks, we did have 3 structure fires last year, and those were all safe and sane fireworks. So please be safe out in the community. And lastly, on top of that, it was really nice to see the community interest and participation that we had in this room tonight. One of the neat things about having this job is just being able to listen to people and to try to address their concerns. And hopefully we did that tonight. And with that, we are adjourned.
Yuba-Sutter.live's local government live streams are presented by Plumas Lake Self-Storage in Plumas Lake, where lifelong local residents are helping other residents keep things safe, providing indoor storage units, outdoor RV and vehicle parking, moving supplies, and Penske truck rentals. Details at PlumasLakeSelfStorage.com.